Hi guys, Mighty Mr. Mustache here, the mightiest mustache in the universe. I'm here with a Division video talking about what direction the Division, massive Ubisoft, can take to make the game better than it already is without having to bring in new content before they bring in new content. With patch 1.4 solidly in place and survival just around the corner, I think we can start to feel confident that the Division is on the right track and it's gaining traction. Now that we have a good, playable game with well-designed core mechanics, I think it's time to look around us at the tools the game gives us and see if there are any changes that can be made. Not sweeping changes like 1.4, or, pardon the pun, massive changes, but little things that improve the quality of life for players. Nothing, and I mean nothing, drives players away from a good game like frustrating and annoying little things that make the experience run slowly or force you to restart an activity. Even the best and most loved games have those little issues that drive their community crazy, and everyone rants about them in every forum and chat. Developers who take these little issues to heart and work to fix them will get an awful lot of community goodwill, and a happy community will forgive you a lot of glitches and delays if they're, content, if they know that you're taking care of them. So now that we know what is in store for the Division's future, with 1.5 and survival coming, what little things can be changed in the existing game to improve players' quality of life and to expand on the existing tools our agents have to play with? For my money, first and foremost, I'd love to see an item manager and clan functionality in the game. Before any new content past 1.5 and survival, a companion app that allows item management would see the entire community cheering for joy. And if you think it's not possible, you just have to look at Destiny. A companion app and multiple item manager apps have been available since almost day one. They let you build and save loadouts, equip your best possible gear with a simple click, and manage your inventory without leaving your group or activity. All the fuss and activity over 1.4, things like this took an obvious backseat to getting the game in order, and that's fine. We needed a good, solid, playable game before any of this could be focused on. The second thing would be clan functionality. There's a certain sense of pride in seeing your group's name attached to your tag, and nothing helps build community in a persistent world game like The Division, like having clans or guilds or whatever you want to call them. While I'd love to see Massive go as far as to allow in-game clan spaces and resources, just the ability to have your clan tag up would be a good start. And speaking of resources, it's time to address the sharing option. The partial ability to share items, assuming they're collected in a certain way and you're sharing with the team you found them with for 2 hours, it's just aggravating. The game already allows a group to help their low-level members by sharing XP rewards and allow low gear score players to tag along in the top tier and get them items quickly. You're not doing anything special by limiting sharing. You're not stopping the game from being broken in any way. No one's complaining about it, so I think it's time to expand and let us universally share items and resources. There really isn't a downside. Item sharing already exists to some extent, and it hasn't broken the game yet. Of course, we also want the glitches and console bugs fixed, but I have confidence in the team at Massive. They're aware of these problems. I'm seeing improvements with every hotfix. In a persistent world game that evolves like The Division, where things have to be expected, you know, stuff like this has to be expected. As long as the devs are on top of it, I see no reason to tar and feather them. As I mentioned earlier, I'd like to see some expansion to the tools we already have, like skills and talents. At this point, I think it'd be a mistake to increase the number of skills or talents we have access to. Something like that would clutter up the game and unbalance it way too much. This is just brainstorming, but I think a good idea would be to reward players who build into really high levels of one stat, like let's say electronics. Here's an example of what I was thinking. Say you're building a tactician's four-piece, and you decide to go with seriously high electronics numbers, 6,000 in your score. You build like 275, 300k electronics. That's at tier 4. What do you get for it? Yeah, your skills cool down a bit faster, and they're more effective. And that's your trade-off for having like no health and no DPS. But at a certain point, it just isn't worth stacking anymore into that one thing. How would it be if we rewarded you for doing so? If you unlocked a small elite perk to your talents and skills if you could build enough base electronics score. A bonus effect. Like say your pulse would also cause a 3-second stun like a tear gas grenade or EMP. Support stations could offer a small amount of damage mitigation like 5 or 10%. Seeker mines and sticky bombs could equip a second mod. Just little ideas. They don't have to be those things. I'm not suggesting that that's what should be put in. Obviously, there needs to be play testing and balancing, but something along those lines would be cool, and it would encourage players to really push their build into specific team roles, like tank or healer or DPS machine. Weapon perks. Weapon perks could be tied just to firearms. Instead of requiring, right, as now, you need some firearms, some health, some electronics in order to unlock a weapon talent. How about if you only needed firearms? And therefore only high firearms builds got weapon talents. On top of which, if you built enough firearms, you could get a bonus to those talents. Imagine if your vicious, brutal, and predatory weapon got a 20% buff to those skills once you had over 400k DPS or 6,000 firearms or something like that. That would build a purely firearms-based character who could truly rely on just his guns and his skill with them. And it would make sense that only someone solely focused on his skill as a shooter would have access to the special perks of high-end guns. Stamina could get its own special bonuses. If you were tough enough, you'd get immunity to status effects, immunity to stagger, some other handy effect that reflects an agent who's just incredibly tough. They don't have to be my ideas, but something like that, an expansion to the skills as we have them now, I think would be a better idea than actually putting in new skills and talents and perks and just bringing in more imbalance. All of these are just ideas, but Massive have shown that they're listening, and I'm happy to say that 1.4 brought in almost every change I was hoping to see. It wasn't perfect, but I'm not looking for perfect. I want fun and I want playable. Share your ideas with me, and hopefully Massive, in the comments below, and thanks for taking the time to hear me out. You can also follow along with my clan and I as we play through all the Division's content from level 1 all the way to Tier 4 Heroic in my Let's Play series on this channel, and of course like and subscribe if you did enjoy it. There is a link to our clan Facebook page below. We're on PS4, and we're always happy to welcome new members. Thanks for joining me. I am again Mighty Mr. Mustache, the mightiest mustache in the universe. Have a great day and happy gaming.